Hi, it's Darnell with Wave Oven Recipes, and today I'm going to be cooking up some peanut butter flour dark chocolate chip cookies. And I'm going to be using the Hamilton Beach Shore Crisp air fryer toaster oven. So we'll see how it does cooking up those cookies right now. So let's go over the ingredients for this cook. I'm going to go through my dry ingredients first, then the wet ingredients. I have here 2 cups of peanut flour. I showed in my peanut whole wheat flour waffle recipe video how to make your own peanut flour from peanuts. And so these were raw organic peanuts that I roasted myself and then chopped up into very fine as flour. And after chopping it all up, it came out to be a little more. It was 2 cups of peanuts to start, but after chopping it up, it's a little more than 2 cups because you get more air in things when you chop them up in the flour. So it's a little more. I'm hoping that the wet ingredients will suffice. But going to go through the rest of the dry ingredients here. I've got 3/4 cups of 85% cacao dark chocolate chips. I've got 2 tablespoons of granulated sweetener. This is not brown sugar. This sweetener, usually they make it white. They just so happen to color it golden this time, but it's a erythritol monk fruit blend. So just use the granulated sweetener of your choice. I've got a ½ teaspoon of sea salt here. Got 1 teaspoon of guar gum. That'll help hold things together. Got 1 teaspoon of baking powder. For the wet ingredients, I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've got 2 large eggs here. I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of raw honey, and I've got one more ingredient I need to show you. I've got 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup of melted organic butter there. And you don't have to use organic. I personally prefer using as much organic as possible in my cooking. I'm going to be using some extra light olive oil to spray the baking pan down. But first I'm going to basically mix the wet and dry ingredients in their respective bowls. So I got the dry in the dry bowl and the wet in the wet bowl, but I can tell pretty well that I don't have enough of the wet ingredient to suffice. Because like I said, I have more than a little more than 2 cups of the peanut flour anyway. So I'm adding another 1/4 cup of butter. So basically that's a full stick of butter in there now, mixed in with the other ingredients, which I did not change at all. And so just mixing this up to make sure that the new butter that was added is mixed in well with the honey and the eggs. And the vanilla extract is in there too. So now I'm going to take, and I like to kind of make a little well in the middle before I pour my stuff in. So I'm just going to pour it right down in the middle there. So that looks good to me as far as the amount of wet to dry for these cookies. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get the flour mixed in to the wet ingredients well. Alright, so I've got things fairly well mixed together there. So now I'm just going to take a spoon and start spooning things out onto the pan. See if I can, Lord willing, get myself basically 12 cookies. I'm sure you'll form yours a bit better than mine, but I'm going to go ahead and get these put out on the pan. So I've got all the cookies laid out, and as I said, yours will look prettier than mine, but let's move ahead. I've got the rack on the low rack level. Going to put them on in here and close the cooker up. Now this cooker has no preheat, and I'm not going to run it ahead to, well, you know, I'm not going to let it run for a while before putting things in. I'm just going to go with things as is. 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake. And I'm going to switch time down to about 25 minutes. I found that peanut flour things take a little longer to cook, and so we're going to see how things do in 25 minutes. I don't know whether or not I'll need more time, But I'll let this cook for a while and bring you on back. So I've let things cook for 15 minutes and they look like they may already be done. So there's no pause in this cooker, so I'm just opening up. I'm going to do a feel, and got to be careful. Don't touch a chocolate chip or you'll burn yourself pretty good. I can tell you that. If you touch a chocolate chip when you're doing cookies and you're doing a field test, you'll know why you shouldn't. I think I'm going to let them go for another 5, even though they're getting pretty brown. They're feeling just a little mush, like they need to cook a little more. And that's something you have to determine by feel. And so when you do it enough, you can tell. So I'm just going to let them go for maybe another 5 till things get to like the dark toast setting. These ones in the front are getting pretty crisp, but I'm going to let them go and I'll bring them back. Alright, so I've let things cook for 20 minutes now. So just going to go in, have another quick touch of the top. I think, yeah, I think it's pretty good. They're pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And I think, you know, they will cook some while they're setting, and I think they are far enough along that things feel pretty firmer. Well, they feel firmer now. So I think they're good to go. I'm going to set them aside on my stovetop, let them cool down for a while, and then I'll bring you back after they've cooled down for a bit. And I want to mention real quick, since they're setting aside cooling, when I thought I turned things off, I actually turned it too far to the stay on, so you still saw the light on. But make sure when you turn it to off that you're right on off. Don't go too far. You'll be able to stay on and you'll still have the thing running hot. And you got to be careful of that. So they're cooling. I'll bring you back in a moment. So I gave things a good while to cool down. I wanted them to cool down pretty well because I wanted the butter in them to solidify well so that my cookies don't come falling apart on me, Lord willing, when I'm trying to taste test and such. So I'm going to just basically take the spatula here. It looks like things are pretty firm there. See if I can, there we go. One comes off easy like that. So there's one, like this one's from the back. Let me show you here. You can see the top. You can see the bottom. So let's go ahead and do a taste test. So thank God for this cookie, and let's do a taste. Of course, I could always use some water. Never have it here usually. But they taste pretty good. They turned out decent. I think that basically depending on how long you want to cook them, depending on how brown you like them or don't, you know, that's up to you. But I do like having some chocolate chip in there to give them some chocolate flavor. I think, you know, like peanut butter cookies are one thing when they have like flour and, you know, some peanut butter in them, but you're really getting like a flour cookie with some peanut flavor. But a peanut cookie with just peanut is just not as flavorful. It's okay, I mean, it's peanut, but it's not like you would expect from a cookie. You know, cookie, you want something a little more dessert tasting. So adding the chocolate chips gives them more of that dessert appeal. So it turns out decent having the chocolate chips in there. It would not have been as flavorful, wouldn't have been as much a dessert if I didn't have the chocolate chips in there. Sure, you could throw a whole bunch of sweetener and such in there, but that's not my thing. I don't, I'm not into just, you know, throwing a ton of sweetener into stuff these days. So, basically you know how to make some peanut flour cookies now. Throw some chocolate chips in there, they come out nice. And so, in the video description, there's lots of ways to help the channel, such as my cookbook, referral link if you want to get the cooker, you pay the same price, help the channel, or other cookers. You can even use that referral link to the Amazon shop, and if you're going to shop there, just use that as your jump off point. It still helps the channel anyway, if you just use that as your jump off point. Also, there'll be a printable version of the recipe, a link to that in the video description as well. Also, you can do like donations, merch, memberships, that type of good stuff. So with all that said, if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.